Thanks for tuning in. John Kelly, profiler here, and welcome. The show's going to start any minute. Great show on a serial killer out in Oklahoma. But I want to let you know what's available to you for free. Our Thrive channel. Take all the education you need from it. It's free. It's all professional. It's really informative information on addictive illness. I don't care if it's central nervous system stimulants, depressants, gambling, you name it. We've got it out there for you. If your family in some way is suffering from addictive illness or somebody's suffering from addictive illness, please go there and take what you want. All right. It's all free. It's all there. And bottom line is addictive illness is this country's biggest serial killer. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. It's coming on now. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. John Kelly, profiler here, and welcome. Welcome to today's show, the YouTube one-liner serial killer. This is going to be a very interesting show. I mean, this guy supposedly killed a number of people. I think he probably has more bodies out there than they got him on. But as you know, he is innocent and so proven guilty in a court of law. Okay, that's just the way the game's played. So we have to put that disclaimer out there. Also, I want to send our condolences out to the families of the victims. I think we have 4 victims so far, but definitely we feel, very sad indeed for the victims and the families of their victims and their friends. I mean, because the victims had considerable amount of friends too. A lot of them were involved in the rooms. Alcoholics Anonymous, maybe some Narcotics Anonymous. And the rooms are very close to my heart because I am a recovering addict, along with being a profiler. This is my book, Discovering Lazarus, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of John Kelly, profiler. And, how I was a recovering addict, went back to school, became a therapist, went on and became a psychotherapist, and then eventually a profiler. So here we are, and I did attend the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous early on in my recovery and for many years. So this is very upsetting to me to see what this guy did, because I know he took advantage of the kindness of the people in Alcoholics Anonymous, because I know how important the newcomer is to them. And when this guy shows up and says he's a newcomer, they're going to do everything they can to help them stay sober and to keep them coming. Okay. Also, we're just honored today to have Dustin Ranck with us. I mean, Dustin Ranck, you've seen him before. He's been on a number of times. We're really honored to have him. He's a private detective. He's a great investigator, really knows his stuff. And he knows a lot about the part of the country that this guy's from. And he's done quite an analysis of this guy's psyche. And we certainly want to hear from him. So, Dustin, I'll pitch it over to you. Okay. Tell us, your take on Stacy Lee Drake.
Yeah, this is an interesting cat here, John. When you kind of, forwarded this thing along to me, it struck a lot of chords with me in a lot of different ways, and I'll try to compartmentalize it as best I can. But this case takes me back to when you and I first started working together, and we started, talking about these guys, because our initial relationship revolved a lot about mythology and symbolism and stuff like that. And, with a couple of offenders that we were looking at, and this guy really fits into that bracket of, this dude obviously has some sort of like really driving hardcore, like compulsive internal mythology / reality. And that in itself isn't necessarily the worst. I mean, we're all subject to symbolism. We all, revolve our lives around certain types of mythologies. And that's not to say that sometimes that word gets transposed in kind of a negative light, and I don't think that it should, because everything throughout history revolves around it. You know, the stories and the fables, and you know, the hero's journey, which is another thing I want to talk about with this guy too, because those oftentimes are the framework about how we interact with each other, how we form our societies, how our culture evolves. So I don't want mythology to get mistaken for like a dismissive term, because it's just not. But when I see a guy like this, you know, John, we were talking the other day about how, you know, like my experience in the tattoo shop and being on the road and working around crews of guys. And when I say crews, I mean they could have been in a set, a gang, a club, you know, you name it, right? Those guys operate oftentimes very much the same way. I mean, we're all influenced by symbols and we attach things to our lives that give us meaning. But, you know, when you've got guys that are pretty violent, right, that are actively doing some highly illegal shit, and they're committing murders and assaults and trafficking, man, there's a lot of power in mythology. There's a great book, if anybody's, and a great series of interviews with Joseph Campbell and Bill Moyers, which I can't emphasize enough how cool that stuff is, because you got two guys from two like really opposing kind of philosophical and religious contexts, kind of chopping that up, and it's a there's just series of beautiful interviews. But what I'm getting at is, you know, these guys, the power of those myths, that whether they oftentimes are appropriated. And when I'm looking at this guy and he's pulling clips from YouTube's, you know, like one-liners from movies, man, that is not. Now, I haven't heard of guys doing this specifically, but I have had guys in my chair, you know, thousands of times, you know, talking about their reps, talking about the work they're putting in or whatever it is. And they are appropriating a lot of it's from pop culture too. I mean, you look at, you look at a lot of gang symbols and crew symbols. I mean, shit, that stuff's lifted off a, you know, sometimes you know, something you find in a supermarket. I'm not even kidding. So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, you know, but they take that and they roll it in. We see that through history too, with Nazi Germany, and you know, on and on and on, like people taking like really meaningful symbology or cultural mythology and like reappropriating it to a really negative context, because symbols and signs and mythologies have power. And when you've got guys with egos like this and just the absolute lack of any kind of feeling towards another human being, right? Like they're they're willing to pull something as superficial as a line from a movie as some sort of justification for harming another human being. And that really bugs me. And so when I see a guy like this, you know, it makes me think about these guys and these crews that I've been in contact with for many years. And, you know, when this guy is using those words and he's using those to commit these assaults and these homicides, you know, what I'm seeing here is a guy who doesn't just have his own internal mythology, but his own internal reality, you know, and he's trying to pull, like those symbols oftentimes are the anchor, like the ground that kind of keeps them tethered here, but they've taken it so far that now they're into whatever their make-believe world is. And they're using that. Well, when you're folding that into a made-up reality, like now all bets are off. You know, they're that that symbol or that sign or whatever, or those lines might be here, but I can see this guy using, you know, violent lines or lines from violent movies, and as he's taken that a step further, right, he's looking at this like, man, those guys are badass, but they're not as badass as I am, because look what I did this for real. So there's
And
obviously
just a second. I want the audience to know who he did this to. I mean, these are people, Dustin, right? That
yeah,
opened up their hearts and doors to him in Alcoholics Anonymous took this guy in because that's how kind they are. They know how important the newcomer is. This guy goes in there and he's pitching them on woe is me and all the trouble he has going on, and he feels like drinking. And the last thing they want him to do is go out and relapse and drink. So, and he knows this. He knows this coming in, right? So they're opening up their literal houses to him. They let this guy go in and take showers, baths, whatever, let him eat there, watch TV there. I mean, they not only welcomed them into the rooms, they welcomed them into their houses. This guy is such a scumbag, okay? And I mean psychopath, all right? That this guy, as you're bringing out, I mean, he has no regard. He has no remorse. He has no guilt, okay? Because he's using their care and concern for a newcomer in recovery against them. He's using their kindness to kill them. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, John, because that's a 100% factual statement there. I mean, I've got ties to that community too, and it is heartbreaking for me to think that this a-hole would absolutely just, I mean, it's bad enough if it's a stranger or you get into a violent altercation. I mean, I don't think there's any excuse for it either way. But when you take that kindness, and literally these folks in the program, I mean, the only interest they do have when they meet a newcomer, or even if you've been there a good long while, that's why these groups are still around after all these decades, is because of the support and the kindness and, the accountability, and, just keep adding on every layer of positive attribute that you can to help people, and it's, for people that don't know, these are ground level people here. Like, these aren't paid professionals. They're not paid to be there. They're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. Yeah, of course they're getting something out of it too, but that's a collective journey in a sense. It's both individual and collective. But man, when I think about that angle of it, it angers me quite a bit. And to see somebody, use and apply such, not that there ever is justification for this kind of action, but to use something so superficial, like this guy feels so crappy about himself that he's going to try to one up a character in a movie. I mean, give me a freaking break. I mean, yeah, you talk about a scumbag. There you go. There's a perfect definition of one right in front of us.
Yeah, and the blatant, narcissism that he's just spewing out all over the place. I'm going to steal your car. I'm going to steal your money. I'm going to steal your life. Okay. I'm going to kill you. All right. I mean, just out of nowhere, it means nothing to him. And, when I say he's a serial killer, he falls into a subtype of serial killers. You have various serial killers, and we're usually dealing with the sadistic serial killer, a lust serial killer, pretty much some sexually violent serial killer. But see, this guy here is what we call a comfort killer. He's a comfort serial killer. There's actually a subtype of comfort serial killers. And they're serial killers that aren't interested in sex. They're interested in physical things like money, cars. Gang members look at it, turf, territory, drugs. Okay, they're interested in tangible things. They kill for money and other tangible things, and that's why they're called comfort serial killers, because it's about creature comforts. I mean, I couldn't get over it when I was taught about this, but here and there you'll see them pop up. And there's more of them, like you expressed earlier, more of these guys on the gang violence piece of it that are not put in or lumped into how many serial killers in the United States. These are lumped into gang violence which is a different category than how many active serial killers you have in the United States at this time. If you put them both together, it would be shocking. It would shock the public, because gangbangers, they're not just killing one person over a course of their career. So if they're killing more than
Yeah.
one, serial, right? But they don't lump them in with regular serials. And I think there's various reasons for that I'm not going to jump into. But I don't think they want the public to be scared and realize, how many, serial killers are at large at any one time in the United States. And they probably don't even know, because how many gangbangers you know of, or how can you count them, or, I mean, especially with them, popping up all over the place. So I agree with you. It's very much like a gang kind of thing. And the symbolism, of the one-liner is there, and the narcissism. I'm going to take it one step further. I'm tougher than you. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you a body. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, you're spot on. And, I'm not going to get into the statistics of gangs, but, going back, when I was working LA a lot, like way back in the day, I mean, just on the books, they had like 80 or 90,000 gang members that they knew of in LA. So, extrapolate that out, and fast forward 25, 30 years, and you've got an unbelievable number of gang members, cruising around. I mean, and we've talked about this a million times, and we don't have to get into it here, but with all the rebranding and all the other stuff that's going on around gang activity, I suspect that it's even larger than I suspect that it is, because there's been some pretty serious shifts in it. But to your point, you bringing up that comfort killer angle is really important too, John, because we have a guy that is, in our kind of recent public consciousness down there in Austin, Raul Meza, who was you called that, a couple of years ago when we were working through that guy. And, of course, he eventually called in. But same sort of thing here, right? Like the guy, Jesse Fraga or whoever, who I think had some relation to him through probation or parole or something. I can't remember exactly what that detail was, but took him in. He and his wife, tried to give this guy a chance, which, I got some personal feelings about this, because Meza had a lot of chances up to that point and committed some pretty atrocious, murders up to that point in his life. And, he slaughtered that guy,
Yeah.
for a couple of bucks. I mean, it was absolutely horrific. I mean, and that's not placing any shade on, Jesse Fraga. I think that guy was operating out of the kindness of his heart, just like these people were, the victims of Stacy Lee Drake. I mean, you can't criticize somebody for wanting to help. And when you see something like that, it just, man, oh man, it's just horrible. But it underscores how dangerous this guy is. I mean, I think we both know this guy's got more than a couple of bodies to his count, but can you imagine this guy not getting dimed by somebody or getting caught or making a mistake? I mean, this guy's so full of himself, and he's got like these just huge, grandiose, internalizations about himself. Man, that guy was never going to stop, until somebody either took him out or he got caught, which fortunately he did. And I don't know the details about how he landed in custody, but man, good job to law enforcement for getting that dude off the street, because that was one dangerous cat right there.
And you go to AA, you're looking for a power higher than yourself. It's what you're supposed to be doing, eventually realizing that. Let me tell you, in this guy's mind, there was no power higher than him. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's that narcissistic. I'm sorry, narcissistic. I mean, there's no question about it in my mind. And he's 51 years old. So, like you said, and I totally believe there's more bodies out there, because these guys start usually anywhere between, say, 23, 25, and 35. Okay. This guy's 51. And right off the hop, he's got himself 4 bodies we know of. Okay. So, how many does he really have? Because if he's transient and he's just doing these, burglaries, these armed robberies, and killing people. I mean, this guy might have, quite a history, and hopefully they're on top of it. Hopefully they're looking into it. Um, I think it's extremely important, and I think they will. I think they're really, really going to follow up on this.
Yeah, hey, John, do you know? I haven't had time to deep dive like where this guy's been his whole life. Is he a native to Oklahoma, or did you come across that anywhere? The reason I brought it up is because, man, you're committing if you're committing armed robberies and strong arm, high risk, deals like that, up there in Oklahoma, Texas, my part of the flyover country, man, you got a lot of people with guns out here. I mean, that is high risk, but you can think about the juice that goes into that, right? Like this dude is really not only getting off on himself, but then you've got that situation that is high risk. You've got these one-liners. You've got his internal mythology just playing in a loop in his head. I mean, this guy's like a actor, director, participant all in one, and he's living out his own movie. It blows my mind that this dude has been cruising around pulling this stuff off.
And he sets them up. See, he
Yeah.
sets them up. He goes in like a poor little puppy dog that needs help. But what he's really doing is manipulating and setting you up to get into your house to see where your valuables are, right? To see what he could take from you. So, he looks so non threatening. Okay. That's his scam. That's his scam. So, if this guy really felt threatened, maybe he wouldn't even act out at all. Take a look at the people we know he killed. Okay. I mean, these were people that never suspected it was coming. Okay. Because he had them in one way or another lulled down based upon getting them to feel sorry for him and using their care and compassion against them. Like Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was no dumbbell. He put a cast on his arm, right, or had his arm in a sling or something, and he would be able to grab women right off the street because they felt sorry for him. Please help me. Please help me move this, or please help me move that. He took two women off a beach one day, Lake Sammamish up in Wyoming. Where are we at now? We'd be talking about not Wyoming. We're talking about we're right next to Washington. I'm sorry, Washington, the state of Washington. He took two people right off the beach there
Mm-hmm.
at Lake Sammamish. There was like, I don't know, 5,000-10,000 people there that day getting
Oh
sun
yeah.
in the lake and everything. But they felt sorry for him. Okay. So these guys manipulate you by using your feelings against you and setting you up and getting you in a vulnerable situation. And he pulls out a gun and lets you out, kills you, and he takes what he wants and leaves. So I don't know if this guy has been working AA meetings all around the country. He is familiar with AA. Where did that begin? I don't know. He's got the jargon to know what to say as a newcomer when he enters a new meeting, to get people to, feel sorry for him and to try to support him. I mean, so he knew the deal. Now, where did he learn the deal? How long ago did he learn the deal? But what he realized, and these psychopaths take advantage of it, who are the vulnerable. And he realized, through the love and kindness and care of AA, that made them vulnerable to him. And he moved on.
Yeah, 100%. You got to believe this guy's had practice. He's obviously,
Oh, yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah. That's a good question. Where has he come from? Where's he been around? Hopefully we'll, learn more and more will be revealed. But yeah, I believe this guy's got more bodies You know, a really, really, really strange person. There's much, much more to him. Much, much more to him. You know, and he's a tough guy over the people he manipulates into weak situations. But as far as carrying himself on the street, he's probably like a punk. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if they've stashed him in Oklahoma County Jail in downtown, he's going to have a rough time because, man, that place
he's
is,
gonna have a real rough time.
yeah, that's not, I mean, that place has got a
You
pretty
know that
rough,
place.
rough. Yeah.
You know that place. And there's a lot of people in there who have been in and out of AA. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all around the country like that. And yeah, they're gonna look at him and say, that could have been me. You took advantage of in there, when I was sober and I was trying to
that's
help.
right. That's right.
Is there anything else you want to say or go over before we break?
I don't think so. Right now, we're still waiting on some details, but it's pretty obvious just from us kicking this back and forth. I mean, this guy's, like a heavy duty manipulator. I mean, this guy's got no conscience whatsoever. And he's got something going on in his head that he thinks is bigger than himself. Problem is, it is himself. Like he thinks he's the most important cat out there. Which, man, again, my heart really goes out to the not only the victims but that whole community, man. Like that's just such a betrayal on every level. It's just horrible.
I think this guy's problems are just going to get started. I think
Yeah,
he's got a lot facing him going in because they even bring in AA meetings into all the jails.
sure they do.
They bring it
Sure
into
they
the
do.
prisons.
Sure they do.
You have kind people, bringing in, the 12 steps. I mean, it's just no question about it.
Yeah,
And helping prisoners get through it. And a lot of those guys were in jail at one time that are in recovery now, and
that's right.
they feel an obligation to try and help, people that have, taken the wrong road. I certainly understand it, you know. So
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, I can't thank you enough, and we've got more to come as your investigation continues into Lady Bird Lake and in Austin, Texas. That's a wild story and a wild ride. So
yeah.
we look forward to what you have on that. Yeah,
Yeah, we've been collecting a just a ton of data, and we are moving around Texas and doing the same thing and doing comparative analysis on all of that. So yeah, we've got to distill it before we bring it out, you know, because it's just too much to try to get through in one show. I mean, there is a lot, it's all public data. So when we do get there, I'm happy to make those files available for people if they want to look at them for themselves, because it's aren't numbers we're making up here. But you see there's some, when we get there, there's some pretty stark realities that we're looking at, from a couple of different angles. We can't say definitively what those all mean. We're just looking at what's in front of us, and man, it's odd for sure. Whether we've got some working theories about it we're not going to get into yet, but it it's illuminating to say the least.
yeah. Odd is putting it mildly. This is
Yeah,
pretty illuminating. Is correct.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah, without a
strange,
doubt.
man. Strange things. All righty. Well, thank you so much. Have a great day. And is there anything else you want to say before we go?
No, just thanks, Steve, for having me on. It's always good to be here with you as well as your audience. I love
Oh,
those
they're great.
guys. Yeah, they're fantastic, and thanks for all
Great
the.
audience. Great audience. They think the world of you. Great audience.
Yeah, well, I think the world of them. They always got thoughtful comments and throwing out good ideas, and that, I mean, you can't really put a price on that, because you never know. Like, people can come up with some pretty abstract stuff, but you never know, that abstract piece might lock in perfectly to whatever data set you're working off of or whatever profile you're working off of, and there might have been something that you missed because you didn't maybe have a particular experience or whatever it is. So I can't thank them enough for spending the time to just make those comments, because they are useful and they're extremely helpful, and we enjoy cruising through and interacting with them too. So
Well, to you and our audience, you take care. Have a great day. Be safe out there. We live in a violent world. And until we catch up again, God bless. Take care, Dustin. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John.